That's a good
hit it before we. Here we are. Hey,
Hey, hey, you internet.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Didn't see you there. Didn't see you come in.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, man.
When's the last time I saw you in real human life?
IRL.
IRL. Yeah, that's how to say it.
When was we left New York in 2000 May 2019?
Yeah.
I want to say, was it 19 or 18? 19. 19. A time is a flat circle, as my man Matthew McCoy said. And yeah, it's very confusing right now. I don't. What day is it? It's January 28th, 2021, as we're recording this. And I feel like more than ever, I need to be saying these things. So, Who are you, sir? We are joined with André Crews, hashtag Cruise Control.
Hashtag. Hashtag. I did a quote unquote.
Just
Cruise
and
control.
Basically any fitness brand you go on, guys, if you're ordering, just try Cruise Control as your discount code, and you might get 15% off. You never know. Lululemon, you might get nothing.
You make it a goose egg. You know what's funny? Last night I was actually buying some masks in bulk because 'tis the season to double mask, ladies and gentlemen at home. So I bought a thing of 50 masks. There's this really cool company based up here called Rapid Mask to Go, and I did some work with them over the summer. And I had a discount code with them, and I thought it was Cruise Control, so I went to buy it, and then it didn't work, and I'm like, well, I guess my discount code doesn't work, or it probably wasn't Cruise Control. It's probably something else. But the cool thing is I paid full price for everything, and then right after I bought it, I got an email saying that I got refunded half of the cost. So they just I guess retroactively did it for me. So Rapid Mask to Go, they deliver. They have very high quality products.
Is that the number 2 go or
number
T-O?
2? Yes. Yeah. Rapid Mask number 2 Go.
All right. We might put that in the show notes. I will say I've done a few of these now, and I almost never put anything in the show notes, but I'm going to make a little note. And I will try to. I'm going to put it in. You know what? I'm going to put it in the comments.
Put it in the chat or whatever it is. Yeah,
rapidmask2go.com.
I think they're on Instagram. I'm going to look them up right now on my phone. Live TV.
It's not TV. It's texting. HBO.
I'm just texting. Excuse me. I'm texting
I just need a minute. I just need a minute here.
Texting my wife. No, it's Rapid Mask to Go. All one thing.
Number 2.
The number 2. Yeah. Good.
That's on Instagram and all that stuff. All right. Plugging away. So you are in, is it Jersey City?
Jersey City, New Jersey.
The owner, operator, head coach, programmer of 150 BayFit.
That is correct.
And you got rid of
the cross. We got rid of the cross.
Yes. I was going to say.
Because of racism.
Because of racism.
Yeah, that was a fun couple of weeks in June. Man.
So I will ask this: with the new CEO and owner of CrossFit, Eric Rosa, have you looked into him? Is it something now you're considering maybe re-affiliating down the line? Is you're going to see how it plays out? Where are you with the cross?
So I have been.
Is it $3,000 for the word cross? Basically,
it is pretty much. So I've been conflicted in my heart and my brain. So Eric Rosa, from everything that I have read and actually one of my members had a chance to interview him just because of his job outside of when it comes to the gym works out. I think that Eric is a very solid dude. I think that everything that he has done since taking over has been very good. They have started some scholarship funds for inner city youth and programs and stuff like that. They actually launched a diversity and inclusion council. And they kind of just polled the general CrossFit community of if people would be interested. I thought about applying to it. And then honestly, I just with everything I'm doing right now, I just didn't have the bandwidth or the time to do it. So I am definitely not against CrossFit under their current ownership. And obviously, I appreciate CrossFit for what it has done for me in my life and my career. I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for CrossFit. So I do think that they're on the right path. In terms of reaffiliating, I have to
get. You don't have to commit now.
Yeah, I think I just have to get the value proposition has to be right. Right now, I have my community. I have a decent online platform. So for me, it would just have to be is it financially worth it for me to dive back in. But I appreciate all the stuff that they're doing. My gym is going to participate in the Open in some capacity.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So we're gonna do like because we're working out in masks. So it is what it is, right? So we can't have the Open the same way that it used to be. We can't have like the Friday night lights or like the Saturday where like everybody shows up and we just do like big heats back to back to back and people are cheering each other on. We're only having 10 people in a class at any given point. So it's gonna be I think I'm pretty much just going to have to make it like the Friday workout of the day, and that just will be what they do during class.
Gotcha. So let's that takes us nicely transition to the effects of COVID on the gym. I've seen a lot of gyms having to shut down. I think that was similar to, it's interesting, I guess, the analogy of similar to, getting people generally who are relatively unhealthy. And those are the ones who suffer most from this COVID thing in terms of if they do happen to get it. Same thing with gyms, businesses that were poorly run seem to, and I don't want to just say that because again, like San Francisco CrossFit, I don't think that they were poorly run by any means, but they had to shut down with all this stuff going on. So one of the more famous examples in the fitness space of gyms that have had to shut down because of what's going on. So tell us a little about your experience, how you've pivoted, adapted, whatever fancy term we're using these days.
It's called karate. It's hidden with a cross.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. Oh, that show. Do you watch that show?
I've seen it all. Yes.
Bro, it's great. I haven't watched the third season yet, so don't spoil anything for me. I know.
There's aliens, bro.
For real? Oh man. I thought they were gonna have like an '80s crossover because that's a very '80s show, right? Maybe they'll like bring in ET or something. So let's wind the clocks back to March. Okay, so this was like
the lockdown when the lockdown started.
Yeah. So funny story. My gym, we were located on the second floor of our building. It was kind of like an old, dirty, weird space, and we were supposed to move down to our new location in November. The building management kind of like messed up our life, but anyway, we ended up moving. And when was it? We moved down in February of 2020, and then literally less than a month later, they're like, "Sorry, new location, you are done. You have nothing." So it was a Monday, and jokingly to our members at the gym, I'm like, "Hey guys, you got to go hard today." And we were on, it was an assault bike workout with like some burpees and handstand push-ups and lunges or something. And I'm like, "Guys, go hard today because this might be the last time that you're able to, work out on an assault bike, for a while." Because just a couple of days before that, New York closed down, and then Hoboken, our neighboring town, they closed down. And so I'm like, "Hey, this might be the day." In fact, I came in Sunday, the day before, and I grabbed like 400 pounds worth of plates, a squat rack, and a barbell, and just like took that home because I thought that the shutdown might happen sometime soon. So we get word at about 6:30 or 6:45 that morning that every gym in Jersey City had to close down by noon. So we had our 6:30, 7:30, 9:30 class, and then we were done for the day. Immediately, I'm starting to rack my brain and say, what can I do to survive this, right? And so I come from a finance background. I got my degree in finance, and I worked in corporate banking for a few years before I did a bunch of career somersaults and ended up in personal training back in 2012. And I said, what's like, how can I stop the bleeding, and like, what's the minimum amount of membership revenue I need to just pay our bills and survive this thing? So I did some math, and I'm like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offer all of my members, I'm just going to cut your membership price in half. So we have different membership tiers based on whatever your commitment level is. So obviously someone who has committed to 12 months is going to pay less than someone that is only committed to a month-to-month contract. So initially, cut everything in half. Number two, what can I do to service these people while times are weird? So actually in 2019, I created a platform called Health is Wealth. And the whole idea of that, I made this back in like summer 2019 because I was visiting with some friends during a competition, and their parents were like, "Hey, tell me about CrossFit. What is it?" It's just a bunch of people like ripping their shirts off and flipping tires. and I'm like, what CrossFit is, it can be that, but the whole idea of what functional fitness is training yourself so that life is a little bit less difficult, right? Yeah. So for example, this guy, his name is Dave. He's in his 60s, he's retired, and he has a granddaughter, Marcy, little beautiful, 4-year-old girl. At the time she was 3, and she weighed like 35 pounds. And he would say, "Andre, every time that she comes to visit, I kind of get, you know, a little bit anxious because I don't want to hurt myself when I pick her up. And I'm like, that's terrible, man. Like, you shouldn't have to be worried about playing with your granddaughter. So I'm like, so what do you do? So you should be able to deadlift a kettlebell that weighs like 50 pounds for, you know, a number of reps. You should be able to do, you know, squats with a medicine ball that weighs 20 to 30 pounds. So the whole idea is training yourself hard in the gym so that you can have a good life. Anyway, so I created this thing called Health is Wealth. And the whole idea behind that was they were home-friendly workouts that you could do with minimal or no gym equipment. And I actually started doing one of those a week from July 2019 up until quarantine started. So actually at that point I had like a catalog of, you know, like 60, not 60, that math doesn't make sense. I had a catalog of like I had a catalog of a bunch of workouts at that point that were home friendly things that you can literally just do like with a backpack or a kettlebell or whatever you have at home. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to start doing one of those every morning. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wake up, I'm going to take my dog out for a walk, I'm going to go into my garage, I'm going to film a 10 to 15 minute Health is Wealth video that you can do with a backpack, a kettlebell, or a dumbbell. So number one, that was number one offering for my members. Number two is I'm like, all right, let me channel my like inner Billy Blanks and all those guys from like the 90s time when, you know, you did the kick punch and the P90X and all that. So our gym 150 Bay. So I'm like, we're gonna have like 150X videos. So the whole idea was that we're gonna do home friendly workouts. But me and my manager coach, Sarah, we would do them together at the gym, socially distanced from each other, and we would lead people through a proper class workout. And I would program it the same way that I would program for the gym. So there'd be a strength or skill portion followed by a conditioning piece and then mobility and cool down and all that good stuff. Obviously, we can't really do a super strength portion because everyone doesn't really have weights at home, but I did create a rental program where all the members were eligible with their half-price membership fee to get a dumbbell or a kettlebell of their choice, however heavy they want to be able to work with at home. So started programming all that, started really focusing on movement skill patterns versus really trying to do anything super crazy. So like Wednesdays, in real life, we would do snatches. So on Wednesdays, we would do snatches with a PVC pipe or a broom or a Swiffer. And the cool thing about it is, like, fast forward to when everybody came back, a lot of my members were actually moving a lot better than they were pre.
That's crazy.
I know, because they took weight off and started focusing on technique. What? They weren't just trying to PR all the time. It's crazy.
And
it's crazy.
Yeah. Back when I used to coach more group classes and in that sport, that name we shall not mention anymore. No, but CrossFit, I used to tell people, and it's an interesting thing, and yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, is the first class, the 101, when you first get somebody, you take them through the foundational 9 movements of CrossFit or what have you. And I would always say, like, if it was up to me, you guys would hang out with this PVC for the next month.
Yeah.
But most of you probably wouldn't come back because it's not exciting.
It's not sexy.
And it's not sexy. And there is that like gap between, and this is what I was thinking of when you were talking is again, what Greg Glassman, racism aside, we can go down that path. But in terms of the philosophy of what CrossFit should be, terms like splits and gymnastics and levers and these things are in that 100 words of fitness, or fitness in 100 words, that he, came up with in the true philosophy, that then became, oh, okay, that's cool. And we're going to kind of take some of that, but we got to be a little sexier to bring this to the general population, to get those like Soul Cycle people to come over. Not picking on Soul Cycle, but yeah, I'm picking on them. But yeah, there's that gap between, again, and this was the forced, like, that's what I wanted. I wanted people to be with the PVC and work on their movement. And that's the other way I talk to a lot of my clients about it, is we're looking at your movement literacy. So we're looking to see how well do you hinge, how well do you squat, and we're giving you a report card to say, hey, like, your movement right now is at a 7th grade level. We want to get you to college though. Like we have a gap between how you're moving now, and we got to get you through the progressions of doing a handstand. And I saw you posted your 100-foot handstand walk on your Instagrams there.
Yeah. Moderate handstand. That was like, I haven't tested that literally. I think that's the last time I tested a max effort walk. So I got to get back up and try it again. I think I can get 50 yards. So 150 feet is the goal or more, maybe the whole length of a football field. I don't know. My shoulders are bigger than they were 3 years ago. I think I can handle it.
It is a skill though. It is a skill. If you have the skill down, that's what we're talking about is having those foundations and then building capacity on top. Again, take if you have competent be in a handstand, be upside down.
Yeah.
If you have competence there, then we want to build confidence. So now you're getting that like, okay, I can take a few steps and I can kick down and I'm good. I feel confident. Then we talk about capacity. So if you're starting and you get 5 feet, that's your capacity. Like we've tested it. Okay, let's see if we can get a little further, get 10 feet. And how are we going to progress that? And that's kind of the general, like, the sleazy car salesman spiel of what fitness is let's see where you're at. And most people, again, when you're doing an F45 or a Soul Cycle, there's very little measuring exactly where you're at. And that's, again, the thing that for me as a nerd, as a science doctor.
I concur, doctor. I concur.
Doctor. Is are we doing? Is that MASH or?
No, that was
Spies Like Us. Spies Like Us.
No, well, yes, but also Catch Me If You Can. Leo DiCaprio.
Oh, yes.
And Tom Hanks. Did you watch? Real quick aside. Did you watch The Simpsons? I'm sure.
Of course, yes.
Do you remember? It was a random episode. I have no idea what season or whatever, but it was asking. They were in the movies, and the thing was, all right, you have to figure out who is this particular actor, and the letters were just kind of scrambled, and they're like, oh, very clearly it's Tom Hanks because it had the T, the O, the M, and the H, A, N, K, S,
right?
And then it cuts and it's like Autumn Schenk, who is a famous Bollywood actor.
Yeah, that's one of those good. That was a random aside. I will add another aside since we're on tangents and asides. Is Catch Me If You Can. I mean, I saw the movie a long time ago. It was a great movie, but I came across the real guy, and I think I'd known it was like based on a real person, but I came across him giving like a talk at Google or something.
Cool.
I can't remember his name right now. If I do, I might put it in the show notes. But his real life story is like the most I'm like, this sounds made up.
Made up, yeah.
And like it's, but the way he tells it is just amazing. He just, I highly recommend. I do want to put that in the notes. I got to remember. Let me put Catch Me If You Can guy, whose name I don't remember. Catch Me If You Can, Google Talk. Okay, I'm gonna put that. So this, I don't know. Anyway, I should be able to find that.
Cool.
Where were we? COVID,
CrossFit,
progression,
how things should be. You were talking about the
literacy
and the Soul City.
We covered a lot. Soul City, Soul Cycle,
whatever.
Salt Lake City.
All right. Anyway, so I guess we'll back it up to the COVID stuff, right? So I'm so my members, half price membership, equipment rental. We're focusing on basic foundational movements and really solidifying people's movement patterns from home. So offering 1 is the workout in the garage first thing in the morning, health as well. Offering number 2 is 150X. Offering number 3, we have a power lunch, body weight only. So 3 different workouts a day, all different that our members can do. So we kind of that's what we did. And very fortunately, we did not hemorrhage that much. We happened to have a population that was largely financially okay during this time. We had a lot of folks who were still making their banker, lawyer, whatever it might be money, but just working from their home apartments. And they kind of looked at our workouts as their one beacon to kind of interact with other human beings without having to like deal with their dog or wife or kids or whatever it might be that they're stuck with all the time. And so that's what we did, right? So I'd say right before COVID, we had like 160 roughly members. I'd say we lost 10 for about financial reasons. And then kind of as COVID progressively got longer and longer, back when everyone thought it was going to be just like, all right, we'll just pause for a month. Cool, we'll come back.
It's going to go away in Easter.
Yeah, right. We're going to have packed churches.
What year?
We're going to have packed churches for Easter. It's going to be great. Jesus Christ himself is going to be there wearing a mask. And and anyway, so that's kind of how things go. And then as with every kind of passing month, we just had a lot of people who just physically moved away. Yeah. People are like, F this. I'm not going to live in a 700 square foot apartment with my wife and 2 kids. I'm going to buy a house in the suburbs because it's cheaper than my apartment that I have now. So we lost a lot of folks just because of relocation. So kind of over the course of the summer, things whittled down to like being like at 160 members, and we're down to probably like 100. And then in July, we were able to start doing in-person private training by appointment. So we would pretty much just have people come in with their.
That's based on the state's ordinance, or
yes. So that was based on New Jersey. Hold on one second. My dog is eating something that is not to be eaten. Hey.
Oh, we will chat about his two.
I'm back. Okay, so
golden retriever. Oh, that was fast.
Yeah. I just had, she was right in my eyes, so I decided to grab her. So so it's Holly's birthday, and I put on one of her very special little flower necklace things, and then Jersey just destroyed it. She's a jerk. She's a Jersey girl. She's loud. She's in your face, and she's been known to drink some water. So anyway, so July, we were allowed to have in-person training by appointment only, with a limit of, literally like 2 people. So we pretty much were like, hey, we have a bunch of couples, so hey, like come work out with your spouse, and we'll work with you in like a 1-on-1 or a 1-on-2 capacity. And so that's kind of how we started. We charged a little bit extra to get people back in the door that way. And then September, we were allowed to reopen at 25% capacity. Our 25% allows for 17 people within our space, but for extra safety, we are capping classes at 10. We've been capping classes at 10 ever since. And so we've had a lot of members have come back. We still have some members who are still doing stuff partially at home, so we still allow them to keep their equipment rental, and we're continuing to do the power lunches. And so, aside from that, we're back open, and we are getting new people in the door. So it's exciting to have people in. And now that we have these crazy new variant strains of COVID, we're starting to get another round of people being like, hey, I think I want to pause my membership for a couple of months until I get the vaccine or whatever it might be. So we're just kind of rolling with it. And then along the way, I kind of, got on board with the Ladder team and started creating a more robust online offering, but that is separate from 150 Bay.
Gotcha. And that takes us to mobility.
Mo Better. Yeah, look at that.
Mo Better. Look at that.
Overhead squats. Let's go.
Can you close that little space there? Can you close that? For those listening at home,
my arms are too big.
Pretty good. Pretty good. You mentioned in our pre-interview, you talked about the importance of mobility. So how do you mobilize? How are you incorporating that into these, your online offering, your Ladder, your 150?
So let's walk the clock back to 2016, to the Union Square days, right? So
that's where we met.
Yeah. So back in the Union Square days, I was one of those assholes that I talk about. Sorry, are we allowed to curse on this?
I mean,
whatever. I was one of those jerks. I was one of those people.
Fine.
I was one of those people that didn't care about anything aside for putting more weight on the barbell, because I wanted to be in that sexy category of those CrossFit Games athletes who could snatch 300 pounds and clean and jerk 350 pounds, right? So every day I came into the gym, I was trying to PR no matter what. May 2016, it was just after Memorial Day. I just started a Catalyst training program, like a squat program, and my goal was to try to get strong, right? And because it was just after Memorial Day, I had missed Monday's workout, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do 2 days of squat programming in one, because I can handle it.
Obviously,
I'm fit. I'm fine. I'm great. So like I'm getting through it. It's all good. And then I'm going for like a power clean and push jerk. Not even heavy. Like at like 70%, 75% maybe. And then like I catch it, and then I feel something weird in my back. I'm like, oh, that didn't feel good. So I drop the bar. And then after that, it's like blinding pain. And I could not. So from that point on, I could not stand upright for more than 30 seconds at a time without being in debilitating pain. Back then, I did not. Did I have health insurance? I don't think I had health insurance. I don't remember. But anyway, I did not go to the doctor because like I don't think I had health insurance, and so I was just messed up. Like I remember waiting for the bus. Just like the only position that felt good was sitting at the bottom of a squat with no like just sitting there. So I'd be like waiting for the bus. I'd be on the subway sitting at the squat. I remember one time I was on a subway, and it was like during the summer, and like I felt weird. I had to stand up because of like I can't, like these girls are gonna think I'm trying to look up their skirts. I don't want to do that. So like I'm literally standing on the subway, and I'm just like sweating because I was in so much pain, just like physically standing upright. And at that point, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue being a professional trainer. And at that point, I was like getting ready to open up 150 Bay. Like I was in talks with my business partner, and we were negotiating with the landlord to try to get our lease secured and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this anymore. So I spent the latter half of 2016 just working on fixing myself. So I worked with Joe Lavaca he was formerly with Perfect Stride. Now he's out doing his own thing. And he really helped me a lot, taught me some things. I would see him like once every couple of weeks, and he would give me just a bunch of homework to do. And so I made mobility my job because I couldn't do anything else. I did lots and lots of PVC repatterning, and pretty much the only exercise I could do was strict gymnastics work. So I got really good at like strict handstand push-ups, strict pull-ups, and assault bike, because like those were the only things that I could do that did not hurt. So like I couldn't even sit on a rower without my back feeling like it was gonna crunch up. So from that, my philosophy became move well, lift heavy, breathe hard. In that order. So the whole idea is before you do anything, you have to make sure that your movement patterns are down and your mobility patterns are good enough so that your body can handle that. Once you have the foundations, then you can start to add load on top. And then once you have that, you can start to add speed and intensity. And that has been my carryover for everything that I've done, from 150 BayFit programming to what I have now on Join Ladder. So on the Ladder Teams app, my program Cruise Control, it is honestly the next best thing to training with me in real life. And like, quite frankly, if you don't want to work out with a mask on, it is better than training with me in real life, because you can do it from literally your iPhone. You can pick it up whenever you want to, and you can just go. So I program 7 workouts a week. And you physically go in, and there's a welcome message from me, usually including my dogs, talking about like what our strategy or what our plan of attack is for the week. Mondays, we do functional bodybuilding, usually focusing on chest and legs. Then we do a conditioning piece, and we go into abs. Every workout always finishes with a cool down of mobility, which is very important. Tuesday, we focus on gymnastic stuff, a little bit of endurance. Wednesday, we actually do snatches with a PVC pipe.
Is this live, or are you recording videos and they're following along?
So the cool thing about Ladder is I got hooked up with them in June or July. So pretty much like right after the CrossFit thing happened, I got connected with them from a friend of a friend, and they were looking to build this program of like badass trainers from across the world. So I think there are only 8 of us, and they only have 8 trainers that they're working with. One of them was a former, I kind of took his place, I guess, a guy named Ebenezer. He was the editor. Ebenezer. He was the fitness editor, or is the fitness editor for Men's Health magazine. So like some pretty big heavyweights. A woman named Jennifer Jacobs, who's like really big in Peloton, has like 100,000 followers, and a couple of other folks. So they kind of tried to recruit us, and then we kind of all built our own separate programs within Ladder's infrastructure. And the cool thing about them is everything that I was trying to do with Health is Wealth, like I actually had a Health is Wealth app and was looking to kind of build that and take it to the next level. But they have the infrastructure that made it such that I don't physically have to do the workout every day. So with Health is Wealth, I would have to go down to my garage every morning, do the workout, talk to people while I'm like physically doing the workout. This one, I went to Ladder's facility, and over the course of a 6-hour working day, we did a photo shoot, and I filmed about 400 different movements on loop. So like I would film like 3 to 5 reps of like all of the movements that I could think that I would want to program for like the next 6 to 12 months. And so now I physically go in on my laptop, and so now it's become a desk job. So now I go in and I'm composing. I'm kind of like Tom Cruise in Minority Report, like pulling from here, like I want this movement here for this many reps, and then you're going to commit this crime. No, and then afterwards, I go in on my headphones and I record voiceover. And I'm like, all right, guys, so now we're going into a set of 15 thrusters, elbows up.
So, sorry, when they're watching, they're following along and watching your loop and watching you do a thruster or whatever stretch. Yeah. And then there's the voiceover, so that their video is like they're following along like a Peloton or whatever 20-minute video kind of. Okay.
Yeah. I'll show you really quickly here.
No, I got you. I got you. I was just because I use True Coach, which is
I know True Coach.
Similar, but I rarely. Again, that's the main one I use. Similar concept, but it'll be like whatever thrusters and toes to bar or whatever. And it'll be superset, but it's not you're following along. You just look at the thing and you're like, okay, I'm doing thrusters, and then you might have to check your phone and be like, okay, I'm doing toes, and so, or you write it down and you have it in the email or you put on the board. But yeah,
this thing is dope, right? So you log in, right, and you click on whatever workout you want to click on, right? So this one's called Shoulder City. So you click, and then there's like, and then you scroll down, it's kind of blank, but you can connect it to your Spotify, which is really awesome, or your Apple Music. So there's literally music playing of whatever you want to listen to in the background. Then there's like a little welcome video of me saying, hey guys, here's what we're working on today. And then
I saw one of your videos, which I think was one of those. You speak very fast.
I do. I speak very fast right now. I'm a fast guy.
This is tolerable, but on the video, man, you're going very. I'm like, slow down, man. Slow down.
Yeah. It depends on what we're doing, but I attack everything with intensity. So this is kind of how it works, man, and it's cool. And now I don't physically have to go and really record anything. All the stuff is physically in there. So yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it.
It looks great. I like it.
Best way to train with me without having to be with me in person.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So anyways,
mobility.
So anyway, mobility, we're stretching at the end of every class. I also have a dedicated mobility day called Broga, which is my take on bros doing yoga. And I actually do a class of Broga at 150 Bay. I just did one this morning. And so movement.
Similar to I have Boga.
I like that. Dr. Boga.
Dr. Boga.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So mobility is very important. If you don't take care of your body will revolt and you'll probably get injured. Yeah,
100%. That's right in line with a lot of the things I talk about, I preach, I'm passionate about as well. Yeah. So that's great that you guys are doing that. The one I want to take two lessons, I think, from what we just ran through, and it is hard to jump in there when Andre's going because he's going high intensity.
What?
He's climbing up that ladder. One was with your back injury that you had, I think.
I'm gonna stand up.
There you go. I've been standing this whole time, and when you're talking, and anyone doing Zoom or watching or listening, 100%. If you can get in a situation where you're standing, you're do a little too much. You're too good at the standing camera stuff, man. I gotta say. But what I was gonna say with your injury is a lot of times people have pain. And again, delay seeking treatment, going to see someone like Joe Lavaca in the city, or see somebody like me online. I end up getting people 5 years down the line. They're like, I tried this, I tried that, I got injections, I got x-rays, and like my knee still hurts or my back still hurts. So it's getting the right, and again, it's tough, to find the exact right way. You got to build that trust, but we're trying to get out there and get the right information out there. And it's about to what you said, and I forgot exactly how long you took off and did that kind of whatever you want to call it, 6 months. We call it remedial, fitness or whatever. But the point is that's what was necessary. And but a lot of folks continue to do the same or try to do the same stuff. We see this with runners. They're like, I'm going to keep running until the wheels fall off.
Until my knees break. Until I don't have knees anymore.
Yeah, and it's what we call picking the scab, right? So you have an injury and you're continuing to do the same thing, you're like, you're maybe half treating it. You're not properly addressing the root cause. And so you still have these issues. So I don't know if Joe ever helped you understand or you were able to kind of diagnose the cause of what was going on with your back. Was there any one cause, or was it just an overall like mobility, movement, just doing too much?
Pardon me as I move my camera here because I want to stand up for the rest of this. Excuse me, young lady. So I know what my cause was. Mine was years of moving without having requisite mobility to do all the cool stuff that I wanted to do. Right. So hold on, I'm gonna put this down. That was a vase that had like some nice things in it that my wife put together. So anyway, I'm trying to center myself. I get weirded out. Like I've been trying to like scratch the left side of my head.
Yep.
There we go. Cool. Here we are. So I think it was just years and years of trying to lift heavier than I should have, right? Because I came into the CrossFit sport, I was relatively strong, but I just didn't have good shoulder mobility. I didn't have really good hip mobility. I was able to, squat at full depth and all that stuff, but I think it was definitely the overhead stuff that really held me back. And so I think to compensate, I would really always overextend my spine whenever I was doing anything overhead. Looks like I'm, fist pumping here. And I think that's just years and years of doing that repetitively at heavy loads made me kind of break in half. There we go.
Yeah. No, totally. And a very common thing. Yeah. It's the What are those things that stand outside the
Oh yeah, it's the car sales.
car sales?
It's got to be a little bit more spastic.
Yes. So anyone listening is probably like, "What are these guys doing?"
We're dancing around like D in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If
There you
anyone
go.
gets that reference, that's what we're doing.
There you go. All right. So we've covered. So I have my 5 basics of our 5 pillars of health. We've already touched on movement, right? So move better. Find ways to move better, even if it is like a global pandemic that's slowing you down and forcing you to move better with proper guidance. We talked about a little bit of recovery mobility. That's one of the second ones there. We're going to skip over the third one because that's this finger. We don't want that. The fourth one, though, I don't know if I can do that. The fourth one is mindset. We touched a little bit on that, but yeah, we don't have to go too deep. And then fifth one being connection, which we did touch on also. So for a lot of folks being in this kind of group fitness space, that's where the benefits of that are. But we're going to come back to that middle one that I skipped. This one, and
would you like me to turn this up for you?
No, and so that's the nutrition and what we're putting into our bodies. From what I understand, a lot of folks are like, what does Andre eat? Because if you guys haven't checked out his Instagram or what have you, he's a good-looking fella with some 6 packs.
I have a really good plastic surgeon. He's really good.
Yeah. No. So, but yeah, I guess you get that question a lot. You're a specimen of men, what some might describe you as, and
specimen.
But yeah, so go into a little bit of your foundations of nutrition, realistically, like what's going on there. Again, and similar to one of the more famous good-looking male specimens out there, The Rock. You have some cheat meals that he posts, and it's understanding that. It's understanding metabolic flexibility and things like that, and where you fit and how to incorporate these things, not just, like Andre has pizza, so I can have pizza whenever I want.
That would be nice. That would be nice. So, funny story. The Rock was one of my original bodybuilding motivations. Original bodybuilding motivation. X-Men cartoon and Dragon Ball Z. Nice. No shit. Like anyone out there who tells you anything else who's like in our age range, like a guy in your 30s, you originally wanted to be a freaking superhero when you were a kid, and that's what made you want to like get big and strong.
I was for me, I'll jump in and say it was I don't even know if I can remember his name now, unfortunately, but it was one of the wrestlers, because I did used to watch WWF back before it became.
You watched WCW or no?
No.
Oh, you're talking WWF.
WWF, like Undertaker, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
And there was one guy who looked natural, and I can't think of his name right now, but I'm like, that's like the body, like, I feel like that's like what a guy who isn't on every steroid in the world. Yeah. And again, I don't want to talk trash because I've worked with some of those guys, their bodies, to perform at that level requires a certain amount of, help. I was going to say assistance. Help. Like you said, you have a nice plastic surgeon helping you out. Anyway, but yeah, I got to look up this guy. Anyway, but so that was some of your motivations.
Yeah. So those are some of my motivations. The Rock, he was when I was in middle school, his book The Rock Says came out, or in high school, I can't remember which one. I read that thing cover to cover in like 2 days. So anyway, nutrition. So I dabbled with nutrition, kind of played with it a lot. So I used to be like chubby when I got my degree in finance. I worked in corporate banking. When I was a corporate banker, I weighed 200 pounds. I currently weigh 200 pounds, but I did not look like this. I had the same face, less facial hair, and just like some chubs, and then some bellies, and I didn't have like all the thickness on my arms and my legs. So when I left from corporate banking, I started bartending. So instead of drinking every day because I hated my life, I was working at a bar and not drinking because I was working. And then so during that period, I actually got in pretty good shape. So during that time, I would go to LA Fitness. I'd wake up at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to LA Fitness and I would do like the Men's Health magazine, like workout of
thighs and tries and chest and
all that stuff. I would follow like all these, like I would try to follow the people who I like actually looked up to. So Jason Statham, he was on there and he had like, hey, this is what I did to get in shape for the transporter. And so I would do like his 6-day thing. And that's actually kind of like the first time I did a CrossFit style workout, because he was doing things like front squats, box jumps, burpees, pull-ups. And then I started kind of like dabbling in what the guys that trained for the movie 300 did, even though some of them had painted on abs still. One thing that I read is that they did 30 pull-ups at the beginning and end of every exercise. So, or beginning and end of every workout. So I started kind of emulating these guys.
And that was I think Jim Jones was.
Yes, Jim Jones. Yes, that is correct.
And they were also doing hundreds. They would do like 100 push-ups, 100 burpees, 100 squats, whatever. That was like the big thing, and people were like mind blown at the time.
It's crazy. And that's like commonplace.
Right.
And so anyway, so I started to get in better shape simply because I think the first major change that I made was I just eliminated the amount of drinking that I was doing. And I think I started to really notice a lot of change in my midsection. I'm like, okay, what else can I do if I really want to, you know, try to get things right and tight? So I started playing with like the low carb stuff that was going on back then. I never was really all about it. I tried doing like pure keto for a few days, and then I was like, fuck that. So I literally couldn't do anything. Like I just remember going to the gym, and if I could normally do like Jason Statham's full circuit in 30 minutes and be like, okay, that was pretty tough, and then I'd go call it a day, I was able to physically do about half of what I would normally be able to do, and it took me like twice as long. So I just had zero energy, and I'm like, this is not gonna really work for me. Then I started dabbling. I just Googled bodybuilding diet, so I started eating, you know, like broccoli and grilled chicken and sweet potatoes, and like that sucks. So and it's bland. So I was like, that doesn't really work for me. So I really just started to try to find what works for me. So I've been very fortunate that my dog is playing with a squeaky toy. I thought
that was you.
Yes. I learned how to cook at a very young age, thanks to my mom. I remember like she taught me how to cook eggs, and then like when I was like 6 or 7, and then like the sky's the limit from there. So I always knew how to like invoke flavor into things. So I'm like, all right, let me base. So I understand the science of why keto works. I understand the science of why the bodybuilding workouts work, like in having low sodium and all of that good stuff. So I tried to take the best of those and try to merge it into something that kind of worked for me. So I kind of tinkered with my diet, and I started doing I started weighing and measuring literally everything that I would put in my body. And I did that for like 3 or 4 months. And over the course of that time, I kind of discovered a balance and a ratio and a caloric intake that allowed me to perform the way that I wanted to perform. And in fact, after about a year of kind of fine tuning that, I went from being like 13 or 12% body fat, got my body fat down to like 8%, and then I actually gained 10 pounds of muscle. So I kind of skipped over a little bit, but when I went from being a banker to a bartender, I actually over the course of like the 2 years that I was a bartender, I lost about 20 pounds. So I got it down to like 175, 180. So 20, 25 pounds. Then when I became a trainer, in 2012. And then that's when I really started to really dial into my diet and like kind of get really smart about things. So like I said, for anyone who's starting at home, like it takes a very long time to figure out what works for you and your body. I kind of brushed over 2 years of diet experimenting, but like it literally took me like 2 to 3 years to kind of figure out what worked for me and what worked for my body. And I didn't have a professional that was kind of telling me what to do. So from that philosophy, I kind of, you know, high protein, and then fat, and then carbs, right? The whole idea is we all need carbohydrates. I don't think that anyone should go 0 carbs. If you're about that life, hey, that's fine. But for me, it doesn't quite work. But I found that high protein and then kind of balancing out your carbohydrates and your fats to fill the remainder is really where most humans should probably be. And I think the key is when you are eating carbohydrates is just to not eat, you know, shitty carbohydrates, right? Like no one needs to have
quality, man. Quality. Yes, so quantity, quality, right? We talk about that. I think quality is always a good thing to keep working on.
Yeah.
and there's always lessons to be learned, and it takes a lot of I work with a lot of folks on their nutrition. I had one guy that I actually played high school football with, and he was sending me some of his food, and he was proud of his salad, and I was like, what's that dressing on there? And he sends me, it was Panera bread apple vinaigrette, and I looked it up online. Well, I wasn't even worried about this, so that's the quantity, right? But I was looking at the ingredients, and the number one ingredient is soybean oil. And that's a lesson I try to work with a lot of folks that I talk about. When we're talking about quality, I say, and I even just I went to like send him a link about something about soybean oil, how in general it's worth avoiding. And again, for me, there's like very few oils that are healthy that we should be putting into our bodies. Soybean oil is super processed. And I just double checked, I wanted to send him a quick Google link, and it was like, they did a recent study with mice that showed that not only does it lead to soybean oil, lead to obesity and diabetes, but it also has connections to Alzheimer's, autism, all sorts of things like that. So bottom line is, when we talk about quality, it is a journey. But that's what I also want to talk about with you, and the time it takes to understand these things. So again, when I'm working with folks on their nutrition, on their movement, whatever it is, I'm saying, I need you to commit to a minimum of 6 months. We're not going to get much done in 3 months, that kind of thing. So ideally, again, I should be with you for like maybe 3 years when we're just talking about these concepts. And again, for some people, like they're very type A. I had another client recently, I'll bring up, that she decided to like get every possible, healthy thing at Costco. Like, the grain-free egg crepe things that you can use as whatever to make sandwiches, and like every almond flour and all this stuff. So she was like, let's go. Yeah. And so it's meeting people where they're at, but it's experimenting with, as Andre said. And again, I wanted to, maybe if we could go back and like instant replay that of, even that one thing of, it took you 1 year of just playing with that like little element of, proteins and grilled chicken, that kind of thing. For sure. It's ideally, again, if you want to expedite some of these concepts, it's great to have a coach to guide you along.
Absolutely. And it's hard, man. It's hard. Like even when you're a fitness professional, it takes you a while to kind of figure out what works for you, right? So if you're just a man or a woman on the street that wants to get in good shape, like, sure, you can probably Google what you should eat, but realistically,
And again, the top 10 results might all contradict each other.
Yeah.
You're going to have, again, I just had another person on here with who's a reverend. Her journey took her, I went to high school with her in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, where she grew up, and she was very sick from a lot of the toxins, environmental toxins. She then at some point moved down to South Carolina. It was in the farm, was in the country, was digging and gardening, and like all of a sudden a lot of her asthma went away and all this stuff. So she became a vegan, and we got into it a little bit heated about veganism, and I was trying to kind of at least talk about sustainable farming and the fact that it's carbon negative or carbon neutral, and it's not as bad for the environment. And so we got a little bit into that. She's a little into the environmental stuff. And again, I'm not saying I'm right and she's wrong, but I am. But but
but have you tried bacon though?
Yeah, have you tried bacon though? But no, the conversation again is a complicated thing. At the end of the day, it's if you're eating McDonald's and Popeyes and Chipotle or whatever, like we can move you in the right direction. It's going to take a while. And the other quote that it reminds me of is humans tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in a short period of time, like a month. So they're, you get 6-pack abs in 6 days. And we tend to underestimate what we can accomplish in a year or a long period of time. So when people come to us on fitness journeys and say, I want to lose 20 pounds as soon as possible, summer's coming. I got to look good in my bikini or whatever. It's like, okay, well, where are you at? And this is what it's realistically going to take. Like if you lose 1 pound a week, maybe that's a healthy, speed to lose weight at. It's not the biggest loser effect of, in 30 minutes, you've lost 100 pounds of, like but it becomes that instant gratification kind of concept, a quote or what have you. And that's where, again, it was interesting what you were talking about and how you broke down the COVID response of your gym, where a lot of folks are still chasing and not getting the big picture of, and I understand the human nature of wanting to feel like you got to burn. And a lot of personal trainers are very good at getting you to feel like you got a good workout. And that at the end of the day, to me, and chime in here if you have a different opinion or what have you. But if you're just feeling that burn, it doesn't mean you actually got a good workout. It doesn't mean over the course of the next year that we're moving you in the right direction. Because again, you can get a burn, and if you're not stretching out, if you're not recovering, you're not getting the benefits of everything that's going on there. So if you're not sleeping right, again, you're just sabotaging whatever burn you got. But at the end of the day, it's very easy to get a burn. I can sit here and do this for 30 reps or whatever and get a burn in my bicep.
Move your hand a little lower, Bo.
Hey, watch out. This is a children's show. No, it's not.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I don't know. Those are some of the things that came up for me.
No, it's funny because I agree with you a lot. So I have a nutrition guide called "What Would Andre Eat," and whenever I assign somebody their like custom calories, I'm like, okay, based on your age, weight, goals, how much you're working out, your lifestyle, whether you're sedentary, active, whatever, you should be eating this many calories. And I always say, whether someone's trying to gain muscle or lose fat, I never recommend anyone lose more than 1 or 2 pounds a week or gain 1 or 2 pounds a week. Like if you want sustained change in your life, 1 to 2 pounds is going to be much better than trying to do the Biggest Loser effect, right? And the Biggest Loser, that has, it's cool, all of the results that those guys and girls get, but it's not realistic, right?
And also the science shows that this 99% of them or what have you gain a significant amount of that back. They don't transfer it over.
Yeah, it's actually funny. One of the members at my gym, him and his wife moved out to the suburbs before COVID. But he was on The Biggest Loser. He in fact won it a number of years ago. And when he was a member of my gym, like he definitely wasn't as heavy as he was. Like he was a healthy heavy, but like he definitely gained a significant amount of it back because he was a big dude. He's like 6'4" or 6'5", and during Biggest Loser he got down to like 200 pounds, which when you're that tall is not like a very
skinny,
a little too skinny, right? So he's like a big dude. Had a little bit of love in the midsection because he liked his eats and his drinks. But
who doesn't?
Exactly. But no, it's all about what is sustainable and what's going to allow you to have a good, healthy lifestyle over the course of your life, not just I want that instant gratification.
Right. Yeah. One of my first one of these versions lives I did with one of my clients who when he came to me was 380 and he was going through some physical therapy stuff separate in person. And in the first month of incorporating some of the changes I wanted to make with him, which really focused around going a little more paleo. Again, I don't like to go any one direction, but that was after having conversations saying, let's eliminate some of these things and try to incorporate more of these other foods that are a little healthier in my mind. In that month, he lost 14 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's, again, to me, like a huge success versus saying, and again, if we can keep that going over the course of 10 months,
that's fantastic.
That's 140 pounds and you go from 380 to 240 and you're, if we can sustain that. Now, I will add in that, weight loss is very rarely linear that, where it's just continuously, okay, 14, we're doing this one thing and it's going to be 14 pounds, 14 pounds, 14 pounds every month. But yeah, I think the big takeaways here are personalization is the big thing I think that Andre and I are jumping in on. And the other thing to me is I think having a coach, having somebody guide you is going to save you a lot of time, effort, frustration. Again, Andre, I don't know if you feel like back when you were going through, and I think it's valuable to go through those experiments yourself. Going through the Men's Health and Googling, what do I eat? And like, oh, okay, I'm going to try keto. And like, nope, that doesn't work for me. And then going through all those experiments versus having a conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about, giving them a little bit of money and saving you hours and, how much
potentially years of running in a circle, right? Like, do you want to be a hamster on a wheel? Like that's like thinks you're getting somewhere, and then at the end of your 6 months, whatever it might be, you're kind of back at square one. Maybe you had a really good first month, or because you really were able to stick to it. But then as soon as you eat that piece of bread, everything that you did with your keto diet is going to crash. No, I think, like you said, every body is different, and every body should work with a professional as long as you have the means to do so. It's like if my computer breaks, I'm not going to like start hitting buttons and try to fix that. I don't know.
You gotta Google it. Google, how do I fix my computer?
Siri, how do I fix my computer?
Yeah.
I don't like, no, the human body is a machine, and you need professional guidance if you want to see results in the most efficient and safe and effective way, right? Like, I'm sure that you can figure some things out on your own, and there are plenty of people who, not plenty, there's a segment of the population that can on their own find something, stick to it, and make it happen. Realistically, that's not gonna happen for the majority of human beings. Like, that's why people on average who engage in group fitness classes or personal training or have some sort of a coach are more likely to be successful, because of that accountability
long-term, also long-term.
Long-term, absolutely. Having that accountability, having that professional eye that is someone aside from you giving you advice on what to do. Real quick aside, I know we like to jump around a lot. Do you happen to follow Leslie Jones on Instagram?
I do not.
So Leslie Jones is, the black chick from SNL. She is hysterical. So what she does is she, especially like over the last few months, she would just watch the news and then just like talk about who was on TV. But she wouldn't really talk about what they were talking about. She would mainly talk about like what they were wearing or what they had in the background. So I think it's funny. I keep like kind of tilting to the side here. Look over this shoulder. There's a black box of wine. Do you know black box wine? What's funny, I was using that to prop my computer up. so that was like I had when I was sitting there.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I did just see her in what was it, the Netflix one about with the Black Mirror producer. She was the where they recap 2020, like what a shit show, or what a
2020 was something not good,
something like that. But yeah, she was in that. Yeah, so I don't. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that tangent. Totally taking us.
I still don't know what side I'm going on. Yeah, like black.
Yeah.
Like I had something on this side of my head. I think it was like a piece, and I kept like doing like this. I'm like, oh, it's not.
And I don't know if someone told me. Yeah. So for anyone listening, you're not going to kind of know what we're talking about. But StreamYard is where it's a broadcast studio, and I don't know if it's my camera or our cameras, or it's a StreamYard setting, but it's like backwards for what we're doing. So yeah, when I'm moving my left hand, it's on like the wrong side, so the brain is picking that up. Anyway,
I'm trying to touch the L on my chest, but I'm touching the R. I have, for those listening at home, I have on a shirt that says ladder, and I'm reaching for my left pec because
he has a shirt that has an L and an R, and that's it, just to differentiate where the left and the right side are.
Oh,
it's the wrong ones, though. You have the wrong letters. No. Anyway.
Well, that's fun. Yeah. So see a professional.
Be a professional.
Be patient, and everybody is different.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good, I think, message to end on. Tell folks where they can find you.
So a couple of different ways. If you are someone who lives in Jersey City and you want to come train with us safely, like I said, we have had zero COVID cases in our community since we reopened. We started having folks back in the house for personal training back in July of last year because our governor allowed for such. And since we have opened up for classes, it is the best and safest place to train in Jersey City. So 150bay.fit, go online there, and you can take a free class with us if you have CrossFit experience. If you don't, we have some free intros and all that good stuff. We also have a foundations onboarding month for someone who might be new, so that we can teach you the ways of the Jedi before throwing you into class and making you try to lift anything that's relatively heavy. You can find me on the Join Ladder app if you just go to the iStore or the Apple Store. The iStore. If you go to the Apple Store and you just type in Ladder Teams, you can go and download it. Cruise Control is the name of my program. If you don't want to train with me, there are also a bunch of other awesome trainers on there. Whether you try my program or someone else's program, the first 7 days are absolutely free, and we don't even ask you for a credit card. So you can find me there. And if you want to see me on Instagram, at André Crews is where you can find me for daily motivation and pictures of me dancing around with my dogs.
Usually with no shirt on.
Yes. That's true. Recently, I've been eating with no shirt on, which people like, I guess.
Did you have a little bit of a series of Chef Andre?
Oh yeah. So I did. Yeah. Speaking of Barbend, we talked about them at the beginning of the podcast. I did a couple of episodes of a thing called The Shirtless Chef, where I would just make food. And now
I have to say, every time I saw that, I thought of cooking bacon, and like that's the most dangerous thing. You get the bacon splatter.
That's like the key is like you gotta have
the reaction time.
You gotta have it at arms, literally arms.
Yeah,
literally arms length. Like
social distancing. It's a bacon distancing.
Thankfully, I have very long arms, which makes me good at deadlifting.
Yes.
And so the bacon is here, and I'm back here, and I'm blocking my body from being scalded. But yeah.
Anywhere else we can find you that you want to share with the lovely people at home?
I don't know.
That's a lot. We'll find you. He's a pretty notable fella.
Nah, I'm all right. Oh, no, that doesn't matter. I won the Men's Health magazine.
Oh yeah,
thing.
throw that in there. Yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, I won a Nobel Peace Prize. Whatever.
Yeah, I won Men's Health magazine's Fittest trainer competition in 2017. So, but they haven't had the competition since. So I'm still the reigning champ.
There you go.
Come at me, bro.
There you go.
And
there you
go. For anyone at home, I do not think that I am the fittest trainer. I know for a fact I'm not the fittest trainer. I know for a fact I'm not. But I won that competition against
as
like
long as you won. Yeah,
I won that competition. There were 100 other dudes there. I thought it was going to be like a meet and greet where we were just going to meet with like Men's Health people, and it was cool because it was like right after my gym opened, and I'm like, cool, we're gonna like meet some people. I'm gonna do some bench press, and I'm gonna like eat some tacos. And I ended up having to do like 6 really terrible workouts.
but it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. Cool. That's a little bit like we mentioned Barbend and my friend David Thomas Tao.
Yeah, awesome.
Founder, and I don't know if he's a CEO, president, whatever his title is there, but one of the co-founders, I believe, is how he goes by. But anyway, early on in my friendship with him, he had won it was Rogue Runners. So the New York City is a famous organization called the Road Runners, and they train for like the New York City Marathon. But this was the Rogue Runners, and they had a 5K hot dog eating contest. And he had won the year before, and he was talking a lot of trash about being the world champion and being a world champion in this really small competition, jokingly. And I said, you know what? It's coming around. I'm going to enter. And you know what? I beat him handedly. You had to start in Central Park, and they had a guide with you. And I think there was maybe 20 or something like that. To go to hot dog stands, you had to pay them the money. You had to eat the full hot dog, and then you had to keep running. And it was 5K total distance covered running. We finished in front of the Met, I believe. Yeah. And I won. Yeah, that's my claim to fame. That's not fame, but anyway.
You're a road runner. That's awesome. Have you ever done the beer mile?
I have not. I'm not. Yeah, no.
That's a bad one. That's a bad one.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Shane Kelly who was a member at Union Square back in our time. And he said he did that in like 6.5 minutes.
Ooh, that's like an impressive on your own
mile.
Thing. What is it? It's an impressive mile. Yeah. What is it? Is it drinking a beer at the beginning and
every 400?
Oh, and on like a track, I see. So you have 4 beers at the beginning of each lap, I guess.
Yeah. So I think it's chug a beer, run a lap, chug a beer, run a lap, chug a beer, run a lap.
And to bring up Tao again, and which I was surprised I beat him in the hot dog thing, because he has he can I don't have an empty cup, but he can like do the thing where he just like pours the beer down his throat, and like he can. I think he set some records in his travels. I traveled with him to Iceland. There weren't a lot of beer chugging competitions in Iceland, but I think he set some records of like 3.1 seconds or whatever. He just literally like gravity was the limiter in his ability to finish a beer. So anyway,
just thinking about it.
Yeah, some people, man, you're born with certain gifts,
and you gotta take advantage of them when you can.
That's right. All right, Andre, has been a pleasure, folks at home. If you want to check in with him, we'll try to list everything in the show notes. Probably not. I haven't once done it, so nobody's complained yet. If you guys complain, if you've made it here, awesome. Let me know. It'll mean more to me that you made it this far. If you made it this far, we love you the most.
Yeah, if you watch this entire thing, cool, man. You're awesome. I'm not even gonna watch the entire thing. I'm gonna go through I'll grab some screen grabs and get a couple.
We salute you. Yeah. I do subscribe to my own podcast or whatever, and so I do listen to it at like 2.5x just to kind of like be like, oh yeah, we talked about that.
I'm gonna be talking really fast then.
Oh yeah, I might have to slow it down when you're pushing that envelope. But anytime there's like Australians or Kiwis, New Zealanders, I have to slow it down, or British people. Those are much tougher ones to listen at 2x. And I'm listening to a book that recently came out, which I don't know if you're familiar, 700 pages long, but listening to it is a full 24 hours. And I'm listening. Normally I listen to 2x, but because it's Obama and he likes, you gotta kind of pay attention to him.
wait for
We
it.
gotta-
When
Yeah.
Barack Obama is saying what he has to say.
That's right.
You have to pause because it's
What would have
very
been great? What would be great is if you're familiar with Key and Peele, is if he had his anger interpreter.
Yeah, Barack Obama almost. Did you see when he was on SNL and or not? Barack wasn't on SNL, but The Rock was on SNL, and they had like the kind of the same thing where Barack was just being his normal self, and then like he would actually get pissed off and then turn into The Rock and just
like the
throw,
Hulk.
throw Mitch McConnell out of the window.
Yeah.
But yeah. Key and Peele was great.
Yeah, funny little thing. Michael Keegan Key was at my City Hall wedding. He happened to be there doing some paperwork. I think he was going through a divorce and a new wife or something. And as we were leaving, my wife was in her dress, and we were big fans of the show. And like we're like, hey, you came to our wedding. That's so nice of you. And so we got a picture with him and everything. He was super nice. But yeah, that was fun. Anyway.
I can keep talking to you for hours. Did you see recently Dave Chappelle photobombed people in the middle of their wedding?
No.
They got married like at this restaurant out somewhere, and he just happened to like be there, and like they're in the middle of snapping their pictures, and he just like creeps in the back.
Is that how he got COVID?
I hope not.
I think he got it through all the comedy shows they were doing, and they said it was it Jeff Bezos's new girlfriend or something? Was that one of them, or was Elon Musk was his girlfriend or something? I don't know. I try to minimize my like pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I don't hang out with anyone.
avoid humans. That's what I've been like. I'm checking in with people on like Facebook, and they're like, "How you been?" I'm like, just generally avoiding humans. Like we're good in our little like. I have my garage gym, and yeah. Walk the dog and garage gym, and maybe pick up some food from a delivery thing or whatever. But anyway, all
right, bro.
Thank you, sir. Again, if you guys made it this far, you're a champion. You're a champion.
You probably learned something.
I would hope so, and I would hope they got at least 1% better from something we talked about. If not, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board and get better at it all.
We'll do this again.
Yes.
All right. All right, man. Good talking to you, bro. Bye, everyone.